Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Made Together podcast, the engine behind modern game development. I'm Sam Carlisle, co-founder of XDS Spark, joined by Carla Rylance, chair of the XDS Advisory Committee. Hello, Carla. Head of Program at XDS, let's get your full title in, and Head of Business Solutions at XDS Spark. So every other Thursday, we'll be breaking down how it works, who's doing well, and what it takes to create games together. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
All right. I know we constantly complain about the heat, but we're now into the fourth day of this heat, and it is really hot. And I am in the hottest room in our house again, and I haven't had a chance to go out, so I have not had a chance to cool down either. I'm actually quite smart at the moment because I'm wearing
You look
linen.
really smart.
Exactly right. I'm not in my traditional game dev wear, but because this is linen, it's a bit cooler.
Linen,
Yeah, but this
high class stuff.
yeah. And I live in a really nice part of the world, right? Out in the north of England. Peak Districts are very nearby. And out in the Peak District, there's a place called Castleton. On the edge of Castleton in Hope Valley, there's a set of caves. And one of the largest caves in there is called the Devil's Arse.
No, it's not.
Its official name is the Devil's Arse. I've been there. They do carol singing like in there at Christmas time and all sorts. And it occurred to
Carol
me today,
singing in the devil's arse.
in the Devil's Arse. It sounds almost blasphemous, right?
Yes.
But right now, the Devil's Arse is colder than my spare room that I've spent most of today in. That ironic.
That's
I got this
so
fan
funny.
behind me that does nothing. I got a pretty fan that's all in brass and looks good in the background, but it's an asthmatic fart of a wind that's just blowing my way onto my back. It does nothing at all, while still managing to be quite noisy. So yeah. So that's my complaining out the way. That's my setup. Straight into
Oh
the action.
no. You're pleased to hear it's a very cold 18 degrees here, and we're going to have rain for the next week.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Delicious. Love
Delicious rain.
delicious rain. Love some rain.
What's new? You just come back from traveling, right?
Yeah, just came back from Gdansk. Was out for DevGam out in Gdansk. Really nice, a small show, but really, really nice, really indie focused. Beautiful city. And met up with a few industry friends over there as well. Met up with Junie from EA, who held a great round table.
Cool.
Um, I had one of those experiences where I ran into somebody from a studio. I got chatting to them, and then I did the LinkedIn research. We connected, did a LinkedIn research, and then I realized that they did one of the prettiest looking games that I've ever seen. That I haven't managed to play yet, but it's been high on my list for ages. Called
No way.
Replaced. They're like a pixel art but beautifully lit. They're part of the Embracer group. The company's part of the Embracer group. So I was just like, oh my god, you did him. Replaced is absolutely gorgeous, and so it was real. So I got a little bit of a treat, got to fanboy out a little bit.
Very nice too. Good for
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
What should we talk about today?
Well, I mean, on today, we can see that the layoffs are starting to hit. I see the compulsion layoffs are starting to happen from
Mm.
around. Yeah, they've just started today.
Oh no,
Some of
really?
yeah, the first LinkedIn waves are coming up, um, and I'm hoping that this is maybe a sign that they are shrinking down to a size that they can then break away with.
Mm.
We'll see how limited the damage is. But yeah, we're seeing the first flourishes of the financial year for Microsoft ends at the end of June, and that's I guess when we'll get the full idea, the full scale of what's happening there. And
Yeah,
then
we've got long till the end of June now. A few
no,
days, isn't it?
it's come horribly fast. It's only 3 weeks to develop.
Oh God.
Yeah, and then these things then they have a delayed effect. They ripple out into the service sector as well, and all the partners that were working with them and all that further down the line that gets effective and gets affected. So yeah,
Yes.
not
Yeah,
good.
I know. We'll see how it all plays out. Sorry to everyone who's affected, obviously.
Yeah,
It's never easy to
so
go
many good
through that.
studios, so many good studios in this round as well. It's just awful. Um,
I know. It's awful.
So I was thinking, awful things, but things that are just always around. So I was thinking about AI again.
You
Um,
were?
I was because I can't help. Even in the comic in Gdansk, it was still there. It was still present. And
It's
I'm thinking about
always there,
it's
niggling.
always it's been a couple of years that we've been doing this, and I was thinking about a report card.
Oh
If
yeah.
you were to look at AI and put a timestamp on it right now and just say AI as of today, net negative or net positive or beautifully balanced between the two. What is it? Is it a net negative? Is it a net positive?
I don't know. I kind
Or
of,
is it
for
both?
me, I like it for personal productivity. It's
Yeah,
good for that for me. It makes things a hell of a lot faster. And I like to be able to brainstorm faster than
yeah,
I normally would. It works for me for brainstorming. I love it for that.
yeah.
But what's on your mind?
Well, I mean, I agree. I love. I was kind of hesitant getting into it, and then I fired up Perplexity, and now I found myself burning through credits at a horrible
Yeah.
rate because it's super helpful, and
Yeah.
you can try stuff. I like it because you can try stuff out. You can go down
Yeah.
some blind alleys, and you can scratch itches, and
You got an idea and you don't have to spend ages just trying to pluck it out of your head. You can drop some ideas in and go like,
yeah,
help me solidify this. And it kind of does. And you go, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Good. Now I can kind of do something with it. I like that.
it's really good for that. And I hadn't thought of that. Like it's it's surprisingly good at asking questions when you ask it like, what are some good questions around this document or around this bit of research? And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I've yeah, considering how I think I'm down on Gen AI. I think I'm down on generative AI more than anything else. So I'm down on the.
Mm.
But in terms of production, yeah, I've got to say I found it super useful, and it's a nice way to interact with technology. I like the conversational interaction with technology, and I like not having to think
Yeah.
about the fact that if I can start off polite and end up quite brusque, and it doesn't matter. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I do want that. I do want this.
My AI like laughs with me sometimes, which is
Yeah.
weird. And it called me babe once and I had to tell it not to.
It called you Bay.
It was
Were you
like, you
feeding
know
in
how a
holiday
girlfriend
photographs or
would
something?
say, "Oh, hey babe, how's it going?" I was like, "Don't do that, please."
There's a
No.
line in your AI familiarity. I set parameters for it being fairly formal with me. I think
Yeah.
at the
I
beginning,
might
like
need to
I
try
set a
that. It's
tone.
really casual.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
set a tone. I did have it analyze my writing style
Oh yeah.
because I was thinking if I'm going to get to help on emails and things like that, let's see what my writing. And it's quite good. It gives you a report of how you write, like what your tone is and that kind of thing. I haven't dared use it for anything yet, but it was interesting to have it come back and go, "This is your writing. This is how you write. This is how you appear across." So
Yeah.
and so when we talk about that, things like vibe coding, even I did a bit of vibe coding, and I, I'm a dreadful, dreadful coder. Right?
I'm yet to try this vibe coding.
Uh,
This is a new thing, right?
yeah, yeah. So I did it because we had a request on Spark that comes through quite a bit, which is about time zone checker, like doing a time zone check to see where the overlap is between a supplier and a developer. Um, and so I vibe coded one, and I was really pleased with it. I was like, this
Oh,
actually works.
cool.
This is a thing. I don't know quite know the next steps into getting it into there, and I don't know if we'll take it to our dev team, and then the dev team will go, God, that's just a mess. Like that's going to be horrible to implement. I don't know. 'Cause I don't know what good looks like. But it
Yeah.
does what I thought it would do in a
Hmm.
way that I thought it would do it. And to be able to do it by saying, "Hey, I'd like to do this. I'd like to check out this. I'd now like to tweak this." And stuff. It's really cool. So
Nice.
that and research, love it for research as well.
Very good for research.
You have to
I
check
like
everything.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about the negatives then? You wanted to do a report card. So
Yeah.
that's all the
So
positive stuff, at
that's
least
all the
for
positive.
us. At least for me and you.
Me and you, right? Well, in the industry and in the world in general, you think about science, when you think about engineering and and medicine, there are areas where it's really going to excel. But
Mm.
so much slop, so much slop, and it's damaging. Right?
Yeah.
Generative AI slop is everywhere, and it is destroying communities. It's destroying online communities, and it's devaluing product. Even so,
Mm.
EA for for the World Cup, they did an AI slop image, advertising image. And so there's arms everywhere,
Yeah.
there's legs everywhere. It's got that same oversaturated look, or oversaturated or slightly brown because it's using the
Brown. Lovely
it's using
brown
it's just the
colour.
average of everything.
Hmm.
So that I'm like, I think cost is going to bite everyone in the ass eventually as well.
It's
We're
reasonably well. I mean, I don't do the credits, but for the stuff that I use, it's reasonably well priced right now for the amount that
uh,
I use it, at least. The credits kind of, do they feel worth the money right now?
they are slightly addictive.
Are they?
So when you so the I use Perplexity, so it goes through the question stuff, like just a general chatting with it. That's fine; doesn't really cost anything. When you start using the computer, when you start using agents and you're building stuff, it burns through them at quite a frightening rate. And
Yeah.
the thing is, it happens when you're part way through. So like you get part way through making something, then it goes running low credits there, mate. You
Oh
wanna
no.
want to top me up? Want to top me up? It's like, oh, but I'm so close, and so you top it up, and then it's fairly addictive. It's got that kind of arcade. One more, and then I can just do this. I can just do this. So I racked up quite a I spent quite a bit in my first foray. So now I'm reining it under control.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm reining it. Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah, I'm yet to venture that far deep yet. I don't think it'll be long.
It'll happen. It'll get you in the end.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's the cost. There's privacy and IP theft.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those generative images and all that data. It comes from stuff that other people did. There's no getting around of it, and they're getting around. They're getting it for free, and it
Yeah.
just does not sit well with me at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I think Satya Nadella just the last couple of weeks was saying, really, the future of AI is around much more closed systems, much tighter systems that are just trained on specifics within your industry or within your company, and they get really good at what's very local to you. And I can see that rather than the really broad stuff that's prone to errors because it's the average of everything. So I don't like that side. I obviously don't like either. It's an unproven economic model. It costs a
Mhm.
goddamn fortune. It makes a massive loss. It makes a
Yeah.
massive loss.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is
There's been huge rallies in Vancouver about the data center they're going to be
really
building. Yeah, yeah. People taking to the streets with banners and shouting. Yeah,
they're
lots of
building a
that.
data center in Vancouver or near Vancouver.
Yeah, like in the town center, I think.
What?
Yeah, I
I
think
thought
so.
they're all out in the middle of nowhere. Because I was just thinking Vancouver's so pretty. You didn't think there'd be a
It
place.
is. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I think it's going to be downtown somewhere. Yeah, I don't
Ouch.
know where, but that's what I hear. Yeah,
Ah,
people are
okay.
marching right now.
So there
They
you go.
want it.
Data centers with all the water they chew up, the heat they produce, the energy they consume. You had
Hmm.
Jeff Bezos complaining that humans are using too much water when we could be spending it on data centers. What the hell? What the hell, dude?
Oh my God.
So when you add that in, the cost of chips, the cost of next generation of consoles is going to be way
Oh
higher.
yeah.
Actually, we're saying that
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
server costs because they've sucked up all the servers.
Yeah.
They are now most of the stock market in America. Like these are all massive risks. So if I look at it right now, I got to say it's a net negative.
Yeah. Is that how you're feeling?
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about job losses yet. Oracle laid off
Oh,
another
that's
20,000.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm kind of feeling the same way. I feel like it's good for me for personal use. Um, and then in terms of like how it's affecting the world and I suppose businesses, I
yeah.
suppose businesses will see some of the repercussions of the cost, but then also get savings by using AI, but then also having then losing people at the same. Oh, it's just we're at a weird middle stage, I think, where it's not quite playing out yet, but we can almost predict what might happen.
We don't know. I put a post up a couple of weeks ago about it, and there was a really interesting comment from Brooke, and he was saying it's where the dial is, and he linked to a really good article on Substack about it, which was who's benefiting from this, because we're getting these productivity increases, but traditionally productivity increase goes up, profits go up, but wages don't. They don't follow the
Mm,
same chart. You don't get rewarded for your increased productivity with your increased salary. What does happen is that those who own the companies, are those in the top 1%, theirs goes up beyond that rate. So it was described in the article as like a dial. Where is it? Where is it where it benefits the people who are being more productive and not just the people who are employing them, or not just the
mm-hmm.
companies that's in them? And we're nowhere near finding that spot yet.
No, not yet.
No.
We've actually got some data on AI in the XDS Insights report from this
All
year.
right.
We could go through some of that
Yeah, I'd love to see
actually.
some of
Um, we could. It was authored by Side this year. Obviously,
that. Cool.
XDS publish it as we do every year. Um, it went through a few things such as, are developers and publishers planning to use AI in their external development pipelines? And this is actually a kind of interesting one because if you look at 2025, around about, I don't know, 55% of developers said that they were planning on using AI in their pipelines. And then 2026, that actually went down to about 35%
That's
of
not a small
developers.
drop either.
It's a pretty significant drop. It's it's strange because as well, like the people that were saying like, oh, we're not using it today, but we likely will within 1 year, that percentage didn't change much. It's
Okay.
still around about the low 20%. So those people are still on the fence and kind of like, yeah, we might use it. But then the
Yeah.
people that were like, I'm interested in it and I'm kind of want to try plan, we do want to plan to use it, that's gone down. So whether it's that developers were kind of all excited about it and going like, yeah, we definitely want to use it like last year, but then this year things have become more clear as to what they are allowed to use and what they aren't allowed to use with AI, and it's become more like, oh, we're definitely not allowed to use it because of legal or whatever else. So it could be something like that.
So those numbers, the ones who are saying, yeah, we're really up for it, those you've got to assume they're the early adopters. They're the
Yeah.
people who've dove, and maybe they may have gone right in and then found out that it doesn't quite do what they thought it would do, or it throws up problems in
Mm,
other areas,
yeah.
or like I say, maybe they just hit the barrier, the legal barriers of that. They go, well, actually, we don't
Yeah.
own this artwork, or we're not sure, we can't be sure about this particular data or these results we're getting from AI. I don't know, but
Yeah.
it's a very significant jump. But those who still look at it with potential, like it was still like, yeah, we'll try it out, we'll give it a go. They're still in the same place they ever were. They're still
Yeah. Pretty much. And then when you look at the service providers, like are service providers planning to use AI in their XDev pipelines? Like last year, it was about 45% of service providers who were like, no, we're not planning on using AI in our pipelines. This year, that's gone down to about 30%,
that's a
um,
big drop again.
which is a big drop again. But then it's kind of that question about, oh, we're not using it today, but we will likely within a year, that's gone up a little bit.
Right.
But then the amount of service providers that are like, yes, we are planning to use it, has stayed fairly similar. So there's been a shift from people saying, no, we're not going to use it, to maybe we will use it within the next year. So whether they're starting to see a slight increase in demand from
Maybe.
developers in exploring AI in their pipelines, maybe. Or maybe they're starting to understand the tools a little bit more and going, oh, maybe we can start to use it here. Or maybe they're experimenting with ways of bringing extra value to pipelines and money saving ideas that they can give back to the developers.
I think you might be hitting on it with that last one. That sounds
Yeah.
because you combine that with the amount of downward pressure on costs I've been seeing. The
Hmm.
like, the, all the incentives are there for them to try and find ways to reduce their costs, or at least get more bang for their buck on their side if they're charging out the same amount.
Yep.
So I could definitely see why you would lead the charge a bit
I
on that
wonder
side.
if
Yeah.
There's a lot of AAA developers that I've spoken to anyway that don't necessarily have many permissions to use AI in their pipelines. I wonder if like it's the pressure to the pressure.
Mm.
The I wonder whether using AI in pipelines will start to come from external partners rather than from internal teams. Like trying it out in pipelines. This is how we can implement AI here, here, and here.
Yeah.
And then the service providers will go, this is how we use AI. Do you like it? And then developers may go yes or no. Um, I wonder if like the service providers actually start to lead the pack when it comes to bringing AI into pipelines.
It wouldn't surprise. It wouldn't be the first time. Like
No.
there, remember when Substance first came out, it was the suppliers who were the ones who were really working out how you could use it, and because you could see the potential of it
Yeah.
being improving pipelines so well.
Yeah.
But it was so technically, and it was technically put together. Didn't favor artists. It didn't have the nice sliders and everything else you want that an artist wants from a piece of creative tech. So the suppliers were the ones who were really working out how to use it properly and then feeding that back into the developers. So maybe. And
Mm.
I mean, there was a report recently from Games Oracle, I think it was, that said the AI usage in games, or at least public knowing that they've used AI in games, has a significant negative impact on the game release, on the review score.
Mm. Yeah.
Review scores, it decreases review scores by over 50% on average overall.
Jeez.
Yeah, by saying they have AI and they use AI in it. So
Oh
there's
God.
a
That's
public
awful.
perception. Yeah, no, that's a big, so over 50%. That's a big part. And maybe it'll be, I don't know if I haven't read the full report, so I don't know if if there's a placebo, like a test case in there where they don't admit to using AI, but they've used AI, and whether or not you can see a difference in the scores there, whether it's the knowledge that what you're seeing is AI created is what's damaging the score,
Mm-hmm.
which is a very likely thing to do. It would do it for me. I don't care if I even like something. If afterwards someone goes, "Oh, that AI made that," its value to me
Be
just plummets.
yeah, you'd be disappointed, right?
Yeah, I'd feel slightly cheated.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be happy about it. Like it wouldn't.
No.
Um,
No.
so,
But,
reviews are all about perception. So
yeah, totally. There's a few other little bits of data here that we can
yeah.
delve into as well. If we look at there's been a bit of a notable shift here in AI policy and practices. So in 2025, 45, whatever it was, percent of developers and publishers said that they wanted to see like blanket prohibition policies, whereas only
Okay.
like 18% selected that option in 2026. So
Uh,
it sounds as though developers are maybe becoming a little bit more relaxed about AI policy. Well, I say relaxed. I don't know if that's really the right word. Probably not relaxed at all, but maybe becoming a little bit more specific about how our AI can be used at service providers rather than just saying, no, don't, please don't use it. It sounds as though it's becoming a little bit more flexible or lenient, I would say, in specific ways of using AI. Sounds as though about a third of developers tend to put things like disclosure of when and how AI is being used into agreements, as well as like restrictions on how they use AI to train their models and security standards for AI tools and things like that. So sounds as if they're becoming a little bit more specific about how it can be
mhm.
used rather than just saying no, don't use it anymore.
So signs of it maturing a little bit, of understanding what's happening around it, and maybe an
Hmm.
acceptance of justice everywhere. If you're using ChatGPT for anything, if you're checking something, that counts as
Mm.
AI, and you
Mm.
can't put a
Hmm.
blanket policy in place that says you can't use AI, and you're using ChatGPT to check some stuff you're doing, or it'd be almost like saying you can't use Google for a lot of.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
you can't Google some results to help you on your way. So I maybe they're just pulling back from the blanket, and to your
Yeah.
point, digging down to the specifics of, okay, look, we understand it's going to get used, but here are your boundaries. This is what you can and can't do with it. This is where we draw the line.
Yeah. That sounds like it. It's becoming a little bit more easy to know what you can and can't do with it if you're a service provider, which is good, I think.
Yeah.
But then also, it's interesting to see how many developers and publishers actually allow service providers to use AI in their work. Um, it's saying here that even if
But
even if service providers invest in AI, um, more than half are operating under a reality where AI is permitted in only 0 to 9% of engagements.
that's
So
very
there's still like it's interesting because it's saying that they have AI policies and
Mhm.
contracts, but developers still don't really want them to use AI in the work that they're producing.
Okay. So we want the efficiencies, but we don't want to damage our review score by saying, "Hey, we used a bunch of AI in this." So
Yes.
maybe it's a
Yes.
quietly.
Yes.
I used to be with the dev kits when the countries that wouldn't you weren't allowed to have dev kits in, and you would just smuggle them in. People would just bring the dev kits in their backpacks and stuff, and the feeling was always, eh, so long as nothing official's there, I know, you know, but there's no need to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
But the supplier still gets to work on a dev kit. There was always a
Oh,
problem with the big
no.
ones. Was it the PS3 that had that monolith kit? They would look
Oh,
like
yeah.
something out of 2000 AD. So maybe, yeah, maybe it's just a nudge and a wink. It's
Yeah.
there, but why shout about it?
But it also sounds like um, both developers and service providers, I'm not in some of the data that we have here on our side, like I'm not really seeing many tools that are other than productivity tools being
Mm,
used, but maybe things are changing now. It's mostly things like ChatGPT, Copilot, Google Gemini, things
all
that
right.
help with general productivity and getting stuff done and making your general workflow more efficient. There weren't many people that said other. There were a few people that mentioned like there maybe are other programs that are being used, but it's no way near as many as like
All right.
the big AI programs that are out there.
Okay. Okay. And
But
given
yeah.
that the insights report does tend to lean towards the AAA, does I mean
Mm,
because a lot of XDS attendees, so it does lean towards the larger studios. Um,
yes. Yeah.
I
From
wonder if we see that in the smaller studios or not.
Yeah, it'd be interesting actually. Like I think for next year's survey, maybe we can delve a little bit deeper into some of those programs that people are using that aren't the big ones. Like what are some of the emerging ones that are being used and how and why and where? I think that would be really great data to delve into. And maybe delving a little bit deeper as well into um how people are using AI and it like delving a bit more into those policies maybe and figuring out how that's changing as well, like over time. Maybe at some point in another podcast we can delve into like size of companies that are um actively allowing service providers to use AI versus ones that aren't, because I think studio size and the IPs they're working on matters quite a lot when it
Yeah.
comes to whether they are or are not allowed to use AI in their pipelines. I've talked to indies where or double A's where it's even like mandated to use AI in their pipelines and
Okay.
even with their external partners. But then when it comes to AAA, it's obviously a lot more tricky to do so because of big IPs and the rules that the IP holder has um, on the brand itself.
I'm worried about it. It worries me when you mandate it to use it. It is whether or not it's useful or not. I don't. I think it
Mm,
can become performative. If you mandate somebody to do something, this becomes performative. You're tick boxing. It's like
yeah.
if you set a target, then the target becomes the goal, not the good product.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
I worry about that. So I would rather that the suppliers kind of like come back to them and say, "Hey, this is where we found efficiencies in this," rather than what to use. It's been funny to see the big companies get suddenly go, "Well, holy shit, this is my token bill." We mandated our coders use as much AI as humanly possible in their coding to speed things up, and then they get the bill and they're reining it in and go, right, no, now you have an allowance. This is what you're allowed to do, because that's a scary number of expense we've got there. And I think if you're mandating the use of AI, then I think what they're essentially doing is I'm mandating that we get a lower rate. And we get a lower rate because you will use AI, and they see that AI is a path to a lower rate. And that's got bite me written all over it. That's going to bite them. They're not going to get the savings, or they're going to get bad industry sentiment, or they're going to get people doing things in a certain way in order to just say, hey, we used AI to do this.
Yeah, we're gonna. I can't wait to get this survey out again, ready for next year's report. There's so much that's changing in the landscape right now. AI is only one of them, right?
It's not the biggest. Well, it's not the biggest thing. And this is what's frustrating, because it sucks all the air out of the room, but it's not the biggest thing. The biggest thing is our industry moving from growth to maturity. The biggest thing is the shift of the AAA, and the fact that the industry's shrunk now, and the rise of the smaller, localized, hyper targeted games, and like there's an awful lot happening, but it feels like AI is this thing in the corner, jumping up and down, screaming at the top of its voice, and I can't help but look down and go, "Yes, what is it you want? Yes, we'll get you that treat. Don't worry." And it's
I know.
I'll get it. Yeah, it'll be all right. So yes, I'm looking forward to it. It just finally finding its spot, finding its place, and then we can deal with the fundamental shifts we're seeing in the games industry. And segueing nicely, talking about fundamental shifts. So I think on our first podcast, we spoke about AMPERA, who were an art studio set up by Claude Bordeleau. And he set the studio up and sold it inside 3 months, which is
amazing, isn't it?
It's some kind of record. And I reckon it's a cross-industry record. I've never heard of anything like that. But Claude has been at the front of external development for as long as I can remember. There's Concept Art Studios, one of the first ever out there, I think, along with Ron over at Atom Hawk, and they were also one of the first studios to be acquired by Keywords as we started to see that consolidation in the supplier world. So to go from that and then to leave Keywords and then set up a studio and then be acquired by another large company, Winking, based out of China, who recently floated, so they've got money in the bank to do some interesting things in the West. He's now taken on a position of CRO there. So he has got a huge overview of what's going on, and he's also irritatingly nice and rather handsome, which is it's a totally unfair combination for anybody to have.
He was great to have on the show, and you're going to listen to him right now. So we'll shift over to Claude. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. Today we have an amazing guest who's done something more than once, and the second time he did it really, really fast. His name is Claude Bordeleau. He's the founder of Volta. That was a studio that became recognized in concept external development and was acquired many years ago at a time when the whole external development space was still taking shape. And earlier this year, an extra exciting thing, he launched AMPERA, which is a very different kind of intent, but not long after it was acquired by Winking Studios. So an exciting development there, where he now also serves as Chief Revenue Officer. So this conversation is about that pattern recognition and what you learn from building and exiting once, and how that changes the second time around, especially when things accelerate very fast like they have with Claude. So welcome, Claude. Thank you for coming and joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You are very welcome. How are you doing?
Busy. Great. I love being busy.
I could imagine.
Well, yeah.
You got so much going on right now.
Yeah, I had a little break like after I left Keywords in April last year. I had a 6 months non-compete period. So I was doing a bit of consulting, but working maybe only 20 hours a week, which was very new for me. I was used to working like 50, 60 hours, and I enjoy it. I'm not complaining. I don't think everybody should do that, but my main hobby is work. So maybe I'm boring that way, but I enjoy what I'm doing. So yeah, it's exciting to get back to it.
Yeah, you
Okay.
must be just buzzing around all over the place with all of the new movement. It's very exciting. I'm still really like intrigued to hear more about like AMPERA and like what's happening and what you're going to be doing, and it's very new and exciting.
Yeah.
Yep,
We
yep.
didn't really, we didn't really get to know Ampera before it got acquired. So it is so, it'd be good to hear Ampera's first like month or two and what the company was about before the acquisition as well.
Yeah, sure. So I incorporated the company in December, and we did not have a big team in December, obviously, because that was the incorporation. I was free to start something in November. So, I was thinking over my time off, obviously. So I had an idea of what I wanted to do next. Part of it is, I wanted to build something at scale. So it was already planned that I was going to do some consolidation, whether it would be with a partner like Winking, or I had talks with other people, investors, seeing how we could do something. I believe in the consolidation of the market, but I think there's room for a different player, and I have my idea on how to do it. So yes, it happened fast. We started talking. I did not know Winking, by the way, before. So they reached out to me in December. It was a good timing because I was setting everything. I designed AMPERA with the intent of having a very strong core team. I believe there's some market patterns right now. I don't know if that will last for very long, but I can feel there's some desire to have distributed teams in a transparent way where you have the strength of like very senior team in America or Europe with the time zone, of course, that facilitates stuff, but also having access to some muscle in countries where the labor costs are slightly lower. In that way, you can have access to larger engagement and probably facilitate acceptation of the budget with clients. So the goal for me was to find a way to do it. I wouldn't want to build myself a team in Asia. That's not my experience. I've always built teams mostly in America. I had a small studio in Singapore back then, but I never built a company at scale in Asia. So I knew I needed a partner, either through an acquisition I will make myself or joining someone or being acquired. So yeah, and in short, Winking was the right fit for multiple reasons. First off, they have great core values, great culture, which is very important for me. I visited them before signing. But yes, it went fast. But when the timing is right, the strategy is right, everything works. You want to move fast. That's the way I do things, at least. And when
So
things
that's
make sense, there's no point waiting.
no. So that speed was intentional, and the opportunity appeared at the right time for you to go ahead and jump into it.
Opportunities appear when you are prepared to see them. I would say that part of what I consider my job or leadership role is to always be thinking about opportunities. Like when you have a conversation with someone, how we could help everybody. Like for me, like a good deal is a deal where I would say that where I win at 45% and the other party 55, some people will see it the other way around, but I'll say let's say that we win equally is good. So every time I have a talk with someone, trying to see how we can help each other now or in the future. And when you're ready to get opportunity, then you see them. Because some people they have opportunity right in their face and they're not seeing them. So I guess part of it is like 25 years of experience of trying to track opportunities that helped. So yes, that's good timing, but at the same time, I think that timing comes when you're ready to see it. So it went fast because it was the right one. I actually had multiple talks with multiple people in that very short amount of time, and
Mhm.
it was fast. But I'm not very patient, so for me, 3 months seemed like a lot of time. It seems like it was very long because I knew what I wanted to do. So 3 months was maybe slow for me, but I know it's not slow. It's just like the way I was perceiving it.
Though it's head whippingly fast on the outside looking in, I can tell you. So, so you were either going to acquire or you were going to be acquired, I guess, somewhere in there. Because I think what surprises people is because the company had only been around for 3 months, is it may be people may see opportunity, but to see it and then go, my company hasn't been formed yet. Like you kind of you almost want your company to be a thing before you then go into an acquisition. It's like I can see it's there in front of me, but should I just try and grow my company first and then get acquired and just find out what it is, what we're going to be doing? But you have very immediately become part of a larger company. So it seems like a larger risk from the outside looking in.
Yeah. Okay. First, I would say that one thing about building a business, you have to think about your intent. And I like influence. I don't like control, and that's very
Right.
different. Some people would prefer to own 100% of a small thing because they can control it. And by the way, it's not even true all the time because sometimes it's the bank that controls you or your client or your partners. So you never entirely control something as you scale. But there's that. I'm not interested in controlling things, but I'm interested in influencing thing and probably having an impact, a broader impact,
Right.
for which you need scale. And scaling something from scratch, I did it once. It takes decades before you have that sort of impact. I'm not patient that second time around. I want to do it faster. So having impact was very important for me. Uh,
Right.
so yes, I guess that um, if I think only about my personal interest, building something from scratch and keeping it and owning it might be a better financial play, but that's not the reason I'm in business. I'm in business because I enjoy the game. I enjoy building things. I enjoy having an impact, and I love working with people that I can have fun with, that are competent. So having scale also helped me build a fantastic core team that
Mm.
would not be justifiable if we were just a startup. So now being part of a larger group, it makes sense that we have a higher number of non-billable senior people on the team. So that's another reason that it made sense. And also, I would say again, the cultural fit was there. The core values were right. So for me, it made sense. It's just like sizing the right opportunity. When you see um, building a business as a tool to achieve what you want to achieve rather than an end in itself, I think it's a good way to see it. And for me, the brand, one thing I learned through it all is building Volta and now starting something else. Um, the brand value is, yes, there is a brand value, but it's relatively low if you look at it. What people care about is mostly the people behind the company, the culture behind the company, because you change a leader in a company, the company will be different. Everybody
Hmm.
has a fantastic portfolio if they are in business. I mean, you look at all the portfolios of the competition, in most cases, it's great art. And, in many cases, the artists, they worked for many companies around. So the ultimately you can have access to the same talent. The difference is how you approach the production, what values that you incentivize, because you know how leadership influence the direction of a company is. As a leader, you promote and encourage and reward certain type of behaviors, and that's what your company becomes. So every time you change a leader in a company, I think you change the company. So for me, I left and started something else with the leaders that I know believe in the same values that I have. So yeah, I see it more as a continuity of what I was doing before, maybe more than a pure startup.
So is that
What is it
influence?
that?
Sorry. Sorry,
No,
Carla.
you go, Sam.
All right. Do I just when I joined Microsoft, it was the same week that Satya Nadella became the CEO, and I watched. So I was only ever there during times of change as the culture changed. And to your point, it the culture of a company quite definitely comes from the top down. At the moment, they're quite explicit in what's important to them, what's important to the company. How quickly that filters down into what everybody else does and everybody else's attitude to how they approach things day to day was astonishingly fast. I'd never been in that situation before, and to see it kind of play out and the culture change so quickly and so completely over a period of years, I can see. You're
And
absolutely right.
even if they're not explicit, I think that it changes. Let's
Yeah.
say a leader that doesn't know where he's going, like the company won't know where it goes. People will start being like worried, they won't make decisions. Or let's say someone who's just like a leader that's just greedy, but he won't say, I'm clear that I'm greedy. He won't say it, but it influences the way the company will act because people will see their leader acting a certain way and they will just emulate that or leave if they're unhappy. So you get a higher concentration of that bad behavior. So even bad leadership will have influence on where the company goes. But yeah, I sincerely believe that. And it's not only the top, but yes, the top few people in a company will change what the company is, even if you have a strong brand. Of course, if you have a ton of IPs, like let's say you're a massive company doing hardware like Apple, it takes longer before the company changes. In service, it's super fast. In servicing, because like you have such small, short cycles that it goes very fast before you see the changes happening. So yeah, I think in this case, being in our industry has like the stress of having short cycles, but also the advantage that we are much more nimble and we see change much faster, and the result of our decisions much faster.
When I was doing due diligence, like when I was at like EA or Xbox or whatever, like leadership and doing due diligence on the leadership of the company was always something that I would put as actually a pretty high priority. A lot of it is because they will influence how the company attracts and retains their talent. Like the processes that they put in place, the way that they keep people at the company, their culture, their benefits, their how they get the teams working together, all of that equals quality. Like if you can put the right processes in place, actually attract really good talent and retain really good talent without them wanting to go elsewhere, that it has such a large effect on how the games are being made externally and the quality that you receive back. So it's always been super important for me, like making sure that they have strong leadership and that strong culture. It means more than it looks on the surface, you know?
Yeah, and I find it funny sometimes when you see decks for company and then they have a page with their values, and I mean, okay, that I get it, but everybody will put the same things like quality, we are client first, and whatever. But you know, for I always say that a real core value is something you're willing to suffer for. So if you don't suffer for your decision, like I used to say that for Volta, quality was important. That's how I built the studio. I was a concept artist before, but I almost went bankrupt because we kept reworking the work and we were not thinking necessarily enough about the bottom line. We became very profitable after that, but in the beginning, that was it was a strong focus of ours, and it was very important for me, and I think for everybody that was on the team, because they said they could see I cared about it. So when you mentioned that a value is one of your core values, you cannot tick all boxes. Like, for example, people will say, "Oh, quality is the most important thing, client satisfaction, work-life balance." You cannot have it all at the same order. I mean, yes, maybe you care about your people and work-life balance, but if client is more important, you will tell people to work overtime. I mean, at some point, which one is the most important? It doesn't mean that you're not a good employer, but you cannot tick all boxes and be a perfect company because you'll be flavorless. You will have a bland company and you will have a bland portfolio and a bland brand. So for me, it's about like, what are the values that are the most important? I would say limited to three. Most people will put like all the values in the world that they ever heard of that will look good for clients, and they are meaningless. I mean, you should ask anyone on the team at a company, and they should all have roughly the same answer when you ask what are the core values of this company. If they don't, that means they don't have any core values that is clear to the team.
There's some great sound bites in this, by the way. Like so many little snippets that are actually like amazing advice for everyone. I think it's great. So from like when you were at Volta, what is it about being there that you've taken with you to AMPERA? Were there any of those core learnings that you got from when you were at Volta that you've taken with you?
Yeah, give me 1 second and you can cut that when you put it all together. I will scroll because I didn't check my notes yet. I want to make sure I'm not I'm not forgetting something. Um, yeah, so well, no, actually,
I'll put a clapperboard in so we can
yeah,
reference
I
it.
did not need my note for that, but
You can answer. You can ask the question again, I think, Carla, and then we'll take it from that.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So going back to when you were at Volta, what is it that like the main experience and the main teachings that you took from your time there and brought with you into AMPERA?
yeah, so a few things. First up, I mentioned that earlier already, but I think it's about people more than it is about the brand. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
being clear and intentional about your vision and your values, very important. I think that if you focus too much on numbers, you stop focusing on what creates the numbers. You know, when I hear someone say that their vision is a specific number, I don't believe it's a vision. I believe it's a result of your vision. And it should be a red flag when you ask your leader, what's your vision? And they mention a number. That's weird. So I think that's important. Of course, you need a P&L, you need like forecasts and all of that, but nobody can predict the future short term. You can predict the future long term in 5 to 10 years if you have a clear vision. So that's very important. Um, One other thing I learned when I started the first time, I had zero experience in business. I was an artist, so I guess I learned a shit ton of stuff about finance, about sales, about business structure. But one of the things that I put in place very quickly with AMPERA that I did not with Volta was a very strong executive team. I was I probably grew slower, but always being cash flow positive because I did most of the things myself, not because I wanted to be a micromanager, but because I was cheap. So I didn't want to spend on non-billable resources. I was doing a bit of everything, which is great. I learned a lot of different areas of the business because of that, doing a bit of finance, doing a bit of sales, doing a bit of management. But this time around, I prefer to have the best people I can find that are very good at what they're doing. Because my one of my weaknesses which is also a strength, is I have an interest in everything, but I wouldn't say that I have a very long attention span, so I get bored very rapidly. So having people that enjoy spending their day in finance or enjoy spending their day in management is great because I don't. I prefer to have other people. First, they're better than me because they're specialists, but second, they will enjoy their job more. So having a very strong leadership team before you can afford it, I think is important. It's an investment. It means that you have to think a little more long term, not necessarily next month, but more next quarter or in a year. Does that make sense or not? And yes, you can call it a leap of faith to spend before you get the result. But I think that if you know how to recruit the right people, the result will show for themselves. So that's another thing I learned, is to be a little more courageous about hiring the right people early on, and be a little less cheap, I would say. While being, of course, we're in servicing, so we'll always be cost conscious. That's important to be nimble. I Some hires are vanity hires, I would say, like having an assistant as a CEO. For me, I mean, I can book my own flights. And if I hire an assistant at some point, it would be for the entire leadership team. Um, or if at some point really booking my own calendar takes too long, but honestly, you sent me an invite for this call. I just clicked yes, that takes 1 second. You don't need, and you share your calendar. It's not, I don't need an admin for that. But that's one example. It's not too expensive, but as you grow, sometimes you see those salaries or costs as so low that some companies they become bloated. And the problem in servicing is if you're too bloated with non-billable resources that are more vanity hires than necessary hires, then you either underpay your staff because you cannot charge enough, or you overcharge your clients because you need to pay for those non-billable people. So for me, if we hire someone, they need to bring value immediately, and it needs to be something that is bringing value to our clients, not bringing value to me. Like I think it's also very important, and people tend to forget that as they grow and scale and make profit. Because like when you make millions of dollars in profit, paying one person $65,000 is nothing. So you don't even think about it and you hire the person. And then you end up having like 100 people that are paid 65,000 a year that are not really useful. And their job in many cases is to justify the job of their peers. So they send reports that explains how the other people is working. And then it's a circle of wasting money. Anyway, I went a bit off topic, but for me, about hiring people that are, I would say, non-billable as a service company, I would always be cautious not to make vanity hire, but to hire people that are really bringing value.
What are those key leaderships roles you're focusing on at AMPERA?
Well, we're a service company, so sales is important. So salespeople, finance is important. I understand finance enough that I can read and prepare P&Ls, but having a real senior person in finance is very critical. And I learned that the hard way with the first time I started the business. So finance was very important. Quality is always something that mattered to me. So having the key leaders for quality control was very important for me as well. So our directors, for example. Then management slash operations. I have someone very strong with operation, which is something that first I don't really enjoy doing, making sure that we have all the IT setup in place, making sure that we have all the systems. So we have someone for that. That was another key hire. And now as we scale, I think it would be very important that we keep having those key roles first. So a CTO, a head of design. So all those leadership roles that will help everybody make a better job. But yeah, I was in terms of operation, like head of operation, head of sales, head of finance are three that I think are necessary when you get started, especially in servicing.
Sounds integral to me. Love it. How's it felt for you kind of going through this whole process of building a company and acquisition and becoming a CRO? And how has it felt for the team as well, going through all of this at the same time?
Yeah, two different questions. How it felt for me. I started my career when I was like 15 or 16 years old. So I was in an apartment and I was paying my rent with art, and then it scaled and became a business. And then I sold that business, and then I exited. So for me, it's like kind of the same story continuing. Uh, I've I would say that that was maybe a little not painful, but that was a little bittersweet to leave because I spent 20 years almost building Volta with the team. So there's part of it that was attached to my identity. Not that I was putting my name forward. I think I always put Volta before I put my own name, but in my head, Volta was an extension of myself. So leaving this, knowing that it would become a different beast, and trying not to be like the ex-partner trying to tell you how to live your life. So I'm looking sometimes like, yeah, that they do their own thing, but it was a little hard, and it just came to a point where I needed to make that move. But it was good that I had a 6 months non-compete period, so I had time to relax and think because I tend to be in movement all the time. And probably otherwise I would have started the day right after. And I think having some time to reflect was very important for me personally. So I would say that detaching myself from that brand that I spent so much time and energy building and seeing that they will become something that probably is not what I would have done is a little difficult. Leaving keywords too, because I started having a more global role at keywords, and there's a lot of people that I not only love but respect that are still there. So knowing that I would be starting something else that would probably be competing with some friends was also something I needed to make peace with, and understand my reasons and be comfortable with that because I quit after like almost 10 years with keywords. So even with keywords, I was there for a very long time.
It's a good stint.
Yeah, so it was a time for me for multiple reasons. The direction of the company, my place in the company. As I said, I like to have influence. I felt that it was becoming a different organization. There's a new upper management in place. I was working close with Andrew Day back then, the previous CEO. Now there was a new team, and I was maybe not. That's not about control, as I said earlier, but maybe my influence was not where I wanted it to be. So rather than being just I'm not an employee, but I don't need to own my business. I like to build things and not just to execute. I'm not the best person probably anyway if you just need a manager. I'm better at driving changes, so that's what I wanted to do. So yeah, for me personally, that's been probably the hardest was to be at peace with leaving my baby behind and do something else and not attach my identity to it anymore.
Yeah,
I think
that must have been quite challenging. Like going, okay, that chapter feels like it's done. Let's move on. But then having that 6 months to breathe, that must have been like, did you feel quite creative during that time? Like, were you brainstorming different ideas for what you wanted eventual Ampera to be? Or did you know, like from the moment you left, it was like, I know what I'm going to be doing. This is what I want to go towards.
I think I had the gut feeling that I wanted to do something, but I explored different ideas. I interviewed for different jobs with great companies. I considered joining a couple companies, but I needed to have time just to make sure I reflect. And then ultimately, I just followed my gut. Sometimes you know what feels right, and for me, it was building something else. But yeah, most of that time I spent. Well, my son turned 18, so I spent a 2 weeks vacation with him, just he and I. So that was great. I got married in the summer, so that's another thing.
Oh,
We,
congrats.
yeah, so honeymoon, and so I took a bit of time off, which I didn't do for since I was 16. I think I've never had so much time in my hand. But yeah, I did a bit of renovation in my house. I read a lot, but also I did consulting work just because I still need to be active. I also joined two boards for other companies, so I was doing a bit of things that were related with work. Um, but yeah, I waited and I think it was good. At first, the first few months, I found it exhausting to not work, which is weird to say, but yeah, I need to have something to do. I felt I'm useless. I'm not creating value for anything. Then I started to be able to relax a little and to I would say, get in a healthier mind space where I was really ready to do something. Um, but no, I think my decision for starting a business and not joining another organization or retiring, even I considered that for maybe 3 seconds. But like the reason that I needed that time off, and I made the decision probably the week my non-compete ended because now I knew I needed to make a decision. So I'm like, okay, I'm incorporating a business, and then I started assembling the team. Then I incorporated like a couple of weeks after. But yeah, I told myself that I would wait until that 6 months garden period to really think and not plan for something because I needed that. I wanted to have at least that reflective period before I jump back into another marathon. So yeah, that was and now to answer the other side of your question about how the team felt about it, maybe you need to interview them as well. But I would say that
Yeah.
well, one of my core values, and that one you can check with anyone who knows me. I'm very transparent, sometimes to fault, but I think it's important. That's how you build trust. And I've been pretty transparent about the strategy. Of course, some people on the team, as we were growing, didn't know exactly. Like I'm talking with Winking right now, for example, but all the upper management, they were even CC'd on some emails, or I was forwarding it to them. I asked them, what do you think? How do you feel about it? If you don't feel it, we won't do it. That was important for me. They were on board. Of course, I thought it was a good idea, so I was kind of convincing them maybe. But I told them that if someone said, "Oh, I feel bad about it. I don't want to be part of that," I wouldn't have done it. So that was important for me to have the support of the entire team because we're building something together. They trust me. Many of them left well, all of them left the job to follow me in a startup. So explain my thinking. They were all on board. So I think they feel good about it. That's the way I see it.
That's
Did you
good
take
news.
just thinking back to your career with Volta, because Volta was there quite at the beginning, right? You were there right at the beginning when the consolidation period started to happen, when Keywords took up. You were one of the first studios that they acquired outside of QA and Loke.
Yeah.
You guys and Lecture. And Andrew Day, like I said, was a driving force. Like he was bombing around everywhere, and he was a real personality in the industry. I always enjoyed the time I spent with Andrew. But he had a very direct way of building that. Has that influenced your approach to how you join another company, or how you're acquired and how you drive your own company as well? Because you were caught up in that full wave as they expanded out at such an incredible rate. And they were the first company to really do that. They set that kind of consolidation pattern.
Well, I would say that in my entire career, I've had a lot of luck. So part of it was starting my business in 2006 when video game was starting to be something. So there was not a lot of volume being outsourced. I would say for value, most of it was outsourced for cost control, and I was in America. So starting at that time while it was scaling up, I never noticed that it was a tough market, and it was 2007, 8, 9, which is pretty
Eight
similar.
and nine certainly was. That was painful. Eight and
I
nine
did
was.
I did not notice because I had a startup. I was like, well, it's painful to have a startup. So I did not notice it was the market. I was probably too young. So I got lucky to start a business at that time. And then we scale. And then I got lucky to join Keywords at the time I joined them. So that, yes, I learned a lot. And I was, I think, probably very close to the upper management back then because the company was smaller. So I saw how Andrew was operating. And I have a lot of respect for him, learned a lot from him. And yes, definitely it influenced my view on the industry. And as I said, I think I was Andrew achieved his vision. He had a vision. It was clear he achieved it. And now I think he's retired and good for him. Now it's a different era. The market is different. So I wouldn't say that I would replicate what Keywords did. And anyway, I think if you copy the blueprint of someone else as is, you're a loser. You should improve on it. That's better. You steal, you don't copy. So that's
yeah.
Yes, yeah, so I think part of it is I mentioned earlier having my own flavor on the way I think we should consolidate the industry because I think a lot of what Andrew did, especially toward the end, and especially after the new upper management, was mostly about how can we kind of acquire more revenue and more scale. And the industry was like in a frenzy, so that was a good time to do it. But I think now it would be more about how can we add different pieces to that Lego block that we're building with all those great talent and specialists, and making sure we are all sharing the same mindset, same core values, that the roadmap and integration is very clear for everyone. So it's not only about putting people together. And I know everybody's using that line 1+1 = 3. And in most cases, I would say 1+1 = 0.5, because what happened is like you acquire business and then you duplicate the OPEX cost and then you tell everyone to do the thing. And it's good because you feel empowered, but it's bad because you're not getting all the leverage you could have. So part of it, one of the things that I think I'll do slightly different is when we have M&A talks, it's all about how are we moving forward in the future, even before we talk valuation, is how are we leveraging what you enjoy doing, what you're good at as a upper management of the company you acquire. Where do you think you would fit? Do you agree with the core values that we have as a group or not? And yeah, so that one was slightly different, but for the rest, yes, I think I learned a lot of things by being close to Andrew back then. So that's I'm very grateful for it.
And so you were supporting a lot with revenue conversations at Keywords, and now in Winking as well as the CRO. Has there been any kind of like anything you've had to change or mentally adjust as you've kind of gone from supporting Keywords to Winking?
No, I think for me, as I said, it's like it's not about my role, it's about what my role means. And you know, you can be a part of a conversation but have not as much influence. I like the fact that Winking is slightly smaller. It's a little smaller than when I joined Keywords, but close to the same size. But the fact that it's smaller and I arrive with that much more experience now, my impact is probably much greater. When I joined Keywords, I was still very green. I was, I think, probably like mid 30, like something like that, 34. So I was starting to learn.
Just a baby.
Yeah, I was still a baby. And I was learning everything about working in a public company and meeting with investors, merger and acquisition. So I had a lot to learn. So now it's different this time around. I have all that baggage of 10 years of experience, and you know, I'm a sponge. I love to learn, and I learned a lot through my experience with keywords. So that's different. I would say that now what I bring is that I feel that we are moving faster, or at least my influence is probably greater, which I enjoy. I don't like those endless committee where you spend a week talking and then nothing happened, and then you have a meeting the year after and it's the same thing over and over again. I'm very action oriented, and I like when we have like a clear action map after we have meetings. So that one I really enjoy in my new role. And as I said, like I don't enjoy micromanagement. I have a fantastic team for AMPERA. So my role was more about how do we architect the whole thing to be successful in the future. And part of it was joining a larger group. And now it's about how do I make this entire group more successful, or at least I'm trying to. So that's what excites me. So it's more a continuity of what I was doing. And again, part of what I like, I don't mind having bosses. You always have a boss, whether it's your client or your investor or whoever it is. But I want to feel that we're working together to accomplish something. I'm not, although I might have a strong personality, I'm not a top-down person. Usually I try to hear all the perspectives, but the role of a leader at some point is say, we are going that direction and here's why, and I heard you, but that's the direction we're going. If you don't give a direction, then everybody's going different places. So that's the only thing that sometimes will be a little more top down, as if everybody disagrees, then I'll make the call. But in general, I like to just, most people usually they are aligned. They want to be successful personally and they want the business to be successful. So you talk, and if someone disagrees, usually it's because they think you will fail, and then it's worth talking through it. And if you cannot convince them that you're right, then maybe your argument is not strong enough, or maybe they're stubborn, but that's another problem. But like in general, I would say 99% of the time, if you are able, and that goes back with transparency, if you feel safe enough that you can be entirely transparent and blunt about your concerns, and then talk through it, usually you'll come to a consensus or some sort of a consensus, so you don't need to be top down. So to answer your question about my situation now, I feel that I'm working on a team. I'm not working for someone. So I'm working with people and I really enjoy it. And it's not a political organization, which I enjoy as well. Sometimes it's the difficulty as you scale and grow, you become like part of a group that has so many great leaders with strong personality that it's becoming harder and harder to have an influence. And that's why I'm more probably cautious in how we will integrate future acquisition, because we want to have strong leaders. That's important. I want people who have fire in their belly, but I think it's important that they will feel they're part of a group, not that they need to pull the company in the direction the thing is right, but rather than they will be additive to what we're building. Yeah, so no, I really enjoy that position. For me, it's not a change, it's not adaptation. It's just I keep doing what I enjoy doing.
And you've done it at a very interesting point in the games industry, right? So it feels like right now everything's up in the air. Like the industry haven't quite formed how it's going to be, how it's going to overcome the challenges around sustainability, around scale, around budget, around the general direction of how games are being made and what kind of games are being made, like what their scope is, what their target audience is. So in this very flexible region, very fluid space we're in at the moment, where do you think AMPERA and Winking, where do you think they really need to target to have the most influence? Where do you think is going to have the most change is going to lie?
Before I answer that, quick note on the industry turmoil right now. I'd say it's almost like, well, people won't like that I say that, but I think it's almost a good thing in a way because, well, as long as it doesn't last much longer, as long as everybody finds a
4 years
job.
is enough, really.
But I'll say that some corporations thought that they were geniuses because like the market was just going up, and it will bring back a bit of humility to everybody, which
Yeah.
is not bad. I felt some people forgot that we're creative people. They were starting to think like bankers, and that's one of the trend that really bothers me. That corporatization of the industry, which is not more professional. I understand we're a young industry and we need to be more professional and we need to have more structure, but it doesn't mean that you need to be more corporate. And I feel a lot of people who don't care about games or gamers or creators arrived and start to think about the business as if it was only a finance play. And
Yeah.
that's not the reason that most of us chose to work in gaming. Like, so
Yeah.
yes, we're still a business. It's important to be professional. It's important to have the right people, but the leadership should come from people who have passion. That's the only thing that would be sustainable with time. And maybe that will help have some sort of reset there where people will remember why we are doing that. But I'm still like, I'm an optimistic. I think everything will go fine. The only thing I hate is seeing all those layoffs because it's all individual dramas for every person who lose their job, especially in a market that's not hiring. So that's the main thing that I don't like about the industry right now. But when it comes to the big corporation being hit, it's not bad because it will help them be more humble in the future. And even like for us, it's harder probably to scale rapidly in a down market, but it forces you to bring value and not only think, oh, there's a capacity shortage, so everybody gets work. Now, is what's your value proposition? Beyond cost, of course, everybody's looking for the right cost, but quality has a cost. If you cannot justify that you're more expensive with the quality you deliver, then maybe you shouldn't be more expensive. Because you know what? A senior artist in India, a senior artist in China will be expensive too. Maybe not as expensive as West Coast, and sometimes maybe you need to have a mix of both. But our business is not very complicated. you bring the right value with the right approach, the right culture, the right partnership. And usually, if everybody cares about making the project successful, it will work. What I don't like about banker-led companies is they will just look at, saving 5% here or there, while, if you have bad content in your game, you'll lose hundreds of millions of dollars. So maybe that 5% doesn't really matter. What matters is, do you have the right partner to make your game successful? So that's to go back to that, I think another side of your question is yes, the problem with the industry and how we position ourselves. Part of it, as I said, I think having access to the muscle of talent in Asia, and I can tell you personally what I one of the things that convinced me with Winking is their quality is great, but also flying over there and meeting with the team, they're passionate and they care about what they're doing. And when I say they, it's not only the upper management, is the ISO artists having fun, painting, doing clay sculpting in some rooms, chatting together, brainstorming together, which I think is always a good indication, especially for a corporation with 1,500 employees. And all their locations were like that. So for me, that was very good. So having access to muscle to scale in Asia, but the high quality of seniority that we will build in America. So that's one. Um, I think everybody says that we're not transactional anymore. We bring a solution, but then you ask them, what do you mean by that? And most people will mumble and they don't really know. So yes, the solution is selling for what the project is, but it's also stop thinking about I provide assets, and AI is part of that. I'm an artist, so of course, like any artist, it frustrates me sometimes when it's lazy AI implementation, but it will be part of where the industry is going. And I think what it will enable is for studios that are solution oriented rather than asset based oriented to bring maybe more content for games rather than trying to sell more assets. They will have more content for the same budget. So having that's kind of a positioning, I think, will be important over time to position yourself as I can bring the most exciting content, which goes with having the best art directors, have the best lead designers, game designers, level designers, having the best tech you can have, and being able to leverage all these tools would be very important over time. So and that's what attracts talent anyway. People want to work for winners. They want to work for companies that are exciting, that are creative. Nobody wants to go work for a sweatshop. So like that's not adding headcount is good short term, but if you don't have a real strategy, I think it will backlash at some point. So our goal is not to be the largest for the sake of being large. It's to be large enough to have a seat at the table for those big projects and those big partnerships, but probably to be the most creative and nimble and passionate team in all the large studios. So at least that's my vision.
That's cool. To bring that kind of that kind of passion to large scale is quite a challenge as well. Certainly in perception as much as anything else. Just being your clients perceiving that passion and perceiving that quality can be tricky to the larger you get as a studio.
True, and I would say it's not necessarily overnight, but what I said earlier about leadership, that I'm very passionate about what I do. The day I will stop being passionate, I will stop working. I need to feel that excitement when I work. That's what makes me feel alive, and I think it's contagious. When you're excited, people get excited. So like it ripples down and it comes from the top and the leaders. So if your leader cares and they're passionate, usually the team will start being more passionate and care more, and will bring more success to the organization. And people who are cynical and not passionate, they will not stay. They will leave because they will think it's bullshit. And you always have that natural attrition where you have a higher concentration of the type of behavior that you embody as a leader. So I think it will come. Hopefully, part of it is me joining the core team that I'm bringing are all super passionate. We will incentivize people to care and to be passionate about their projects. Finding the right project for the right team is important. And I always said sometimes you need to feed your team. So maybe you don't have the perfect project for your team. There's another project, but there's always an angle where you can be excited about that project. And I still remember, like in the early days of Volta, we're doing a lot of hidden object games, you remember? And for concept artists, like I remember some of them were snobbish. It's like, oh, it's below me. I don't want to do that kind of work. And then I said, well, this is because you look at all those standard hidden object game. I don't care about profit. Make it the most outstanding, amazing looking game that exists, and then you'll stand out. Everybody will be curious about it. And then there was a way to create excitement for the game. And then I kind of was sharing the result for every good artist who made the fantastic environment for the
Yeah.
game. And then everybody was like, "Oh, I want to do as good as that." And then there's trying to be that positive competition internally, or they were working together to make better art, and you could feel the passion. Like I've never seen hidden object games that were so beautiful. And then, I mean, they don't exist anymore. The point, and all the card art games, the same thing. There's a way you can approach it as a pipeline of assets, and there's a way you can approach it as this is an opportunity for you to do the best work you ever did in your career.
Cool.
Do you think, I mean, I think developers are like in this position where they're craving a couple of different things. They're craving like this intimate, creative, external relationships for ones that feel like truly integrated. But I think they're also craving like true global scale at the same time. It's like a really difficult combination to try and achieve. But do you think these bigger, larger scale global teams is where the future of external development is? Or do you think like there is room for these smaller, more highly specialized studios to win?
Well, first, you identified the niche I identified, and that's where I hope will be, like scale and passion at one place. But yes, I think the future is specialists will do okay. Like you'll have some specialist studios, if they really focus on quality, they'll be okay. But I think that for a lot of these specialist studios, they're exhausted when times are harder. When times are good, they're super happy, everything's perfect. When times are harder, now they would like maybe sometimes to have the peace of mind of being part of a large organization that can plan ahead years in advance and not one quarter in advance. So I think there will be further consolidation with the right partners, and you will have different flavors of companies that will start acquiring studios. I think that's where the future is going. You'll always have those, I think, those independent studios that will make high quality, very specialist work. But my goal with entrepreneurship is to build a legacy that will last longer than me and will maintain the same culture and values over time. And you cannot do that with a small studio because very often it's very attached to the founder. And when the founder leaves, it's becoming something completely different. Maybe the company will still exist, but it will be something else. And I think a lot of creative owners, because a lot of them are coming from production, either programmers or artists. A lot of those smaller studios have been started by very passionate people coming from production. And they also want to have something that will last in time. They just don't want to lose that creative control that allowed them to do the quality they're proud about. So having the right place where you can keep doing that quality will be critical. And I say that it's a differentiator with what we try to build. To be honest, I know that there are people who are passionate and care at the other big studios, at Virtuous, at Keywords, and I met a lot, and they are very passionate about it. Uh, I guess my point is I would like it to be the number one value in the studio that could make a difference and avoid that shift to that slow shift toward that tension between we need to make 1% more profit versus we want to do even better work and being led by I think it depends on who you are led by, and you're always led by bankers and investors and finance, and they are always part of your leadership team. So I'm not worried. Profitability will always be one of the elements on the table, but like you cannot inspire people by making more profit on your team, and they are the ones that make your company successful. If you make all ends meeting with your entire team and what you say is just sharing numbers and our profits increased this year, and even you might have a bonus even if you say that, nobody cares as much as here's the cool work we did, we're recognized as the top company in the world, look at how the great talent that we have internally, look how much we care about what you do. The impact you have in the company as an individual is not only that you created assets that we charge a certain day rate for, is that you created some of the best asset that made that game so special. That's what matters to artists, not that they are a sausage machine. Otherwise, they will be replaced by AI. And that's the reason people are afraid by AI right now is because AI will replace all those studios that have a sweatshop mentality. It will replace all those sausage factory, but it will not replace people that think, because AI is a pattern recognition tool, which is very useful when you use it to probably expand on what you already do well, but it will not replace the top talent in the world. So if you're targeting to be the best work you ever did, and think, because we don't draw with our hands. I'm talking from an artist standpoint, but it applies to programming as well, I'm sure. But you don't draw with your hands. Sam, you're an artist too. You draw with your head, and you can improve even without drawing, just if you think. So over years. So the point is, if you think, you will always be better than AI, because AI is just another extra pair of hand that's very good at rendering. Anyway, I went off topic. Your question was
that's
No,
topic
it's all good. I think it's actually a great place to start closing up, actually. Like, there's some great little sound bites in that. Like, look, we'll wrap up with a few little bits, and then we'll go with some quick fire questions to end with. But I want to know, like, what's next for you? Are you going to be just staying the course? Are you thinking about, like, are you going to build again at some point? What's your plan?
Well, I'm building right now, so I have an exciting project. I'd say that I will never retire, I think, as long as my brain is here and I can keep working. Because for me, it's not when it starts feeling like work, and I'm not meaning one day, sometimes I have a one boring day, but like when it starts feeling like work, then it's time to make a change. I really enjoy what I'm doing. So for me, as long as I enjoy doing it, I'll keep doing it. So to answer your question, I'll keep building for the rest of my life. So it could be through a vehicle, maybe that will be through winking, who knows? If at some point I feel I achieved what I had to achieve, maybe I'll start something else or join another organization, or I don't know. I'm My identity is to build things, whether it is from scratch or for someone else. That's what makes me feel alive. So I'll keep doing it. But for now, I'm really focused on what we're building together with Winking.
Awesome.
Fantastic. That's great. Thank you, Claude. We've got 10 quick fire questions for you that we ask every single guest. Are you ready for them?
Yeah.
Okay, quick, sharp answers. Right, what do you suck at? What's your kryptonite?
Attention span. I have a very fragmented brain, so if something extends for too long, I tend to my mind tend to drift.
Get that. I have a similar thing. What's a small decision that had a huge impact on your career or on a project?
Well, most people don't know that, but when I started Volta, it was an art studio without any tar specific concentration, and then I decided to go, thanks to the advice of a friend, to go into gaming, and purely in gaming, and stop doing advertising or publishing work. That was a massive decision that changed the rest of my career.
Fantastic. Well, I'm glad that happened. What's the fastest you've ever trusted someone and why?
I trust everybody by default. I'm a very trusting person. I know that you have two type of people, those who you need to gain the trust, or you have it. For me, you have my trust from day one. It's very rare I don't trust someone. I always have a good vibe about everybody. So I wouldn't say the fastest is less than 1 second, and it's everybody. So
That's a lovely answer. I love that. What's one tool, workflow, or habit you swear by?
well, I guess it's meditation, and I know a lot of people went into that, but for me, I went into meditation late in my life, maybe 7 years ago. It helped with my attention span. Start with and rest.
Brilliant.
So every morning I do at least half an hour meditation. And also at first I was tracking everything, how we are.
Yeah.
And and I was tracking how concentrated I was, and then I was journaling. I was very bad with my meditation today. Like at some point after reading a ton of books about it, I realized, okay, it's not about performance. It's about like the motion of doing it. That's also.
Yeah, actually getting it done. Yeah, that's great. Awesome. What's the best accidental connection you've ever made at an event?
I would say that every event is where I made most of my good friends in the industry. And what I prefer is when you don't have the tag that says seller or buyer,
Oh,
because
really?
it changes the way people interact with you,
Yeah.
right? Even the name
Yeah.
of your company changes it. So every time there was like those late parties where people ditch their badges, where I made the best connection, because nobody knows if you're a buyer or a seller, or if you have
Mm.
something to them or not, and you really learn who the people are for real. I even like at one XDS, I remember switching my badge with with a buyer, and then we switched back. It was an early XDS, so like most people didn't know me, and people automatically changed their behavior when they were
No
Really?
way.
so nice. I'm like, I'll keep that badge for the rest of the week. Yeah, so anyway, I think every trade show is great, but especially when people don't know who you are, where you work, is where you make the most meaningful connection.
Oh yeah, those social events, so you can make some really great organic new connections. I love them so much. Okay, what is a trend in game dev that you're excited about and one that you're tired of?
Um, I would say that I'm always excited by change because it's challenges. So I'm excited with the AI trend, not as in I love to do art with AI, but rather that it will impact the industry. So it's exciting to think about it. And also like the market challenges we have these days is in a way exciting to me because it forces you outside of your comfort zone. Again, as long as it doesn't last too long and that nobody else loses their job. But the fact that we have to rethink everything we're doing is exciting to me. And the thing that I'm tired of, I mentioned it earlier, is the corporatization, like everybody becoming more and more corporate. And that doesn't equal professionalism. I think it's important to outline that you can be professional and not be corporate. And it's really annoying how the more and more you see people talking from both sides, like buyer sellers, and they talk like bankers. They don't talk like creative. They don't talk like they're talking about gaming. And even people that you know are creative and passionate, they are, I don't know if they're incentivized or pushed to try to have a more corporate speech, but it's really annoying to me. I mean, we'll never be like we're not pharma, we're not bank. Like we are creating games. So can we talk about this? Can we stop constantly just talking about numbers? Numbers are important. I love making money like anybody else, but where
Yeah.
if I just wanted to talk about numbers, I would lead a VC or something. I would not like lead a creative studio. So that's really annoying. And you know what? I felt in the last maybe during that super hot time, the after COVID, everybody seemed to become a money machine instead of being a creative
Yeah,
Yeah,
trend that I hope will stop.
I
I
feel
don't
that.
like that trend.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, coffee or tea?
Well, I would say both. In the morning, coffee. I need coffee, otherwise I'm not functional. So that's the first thing I do. And I like fancy coffee. I'm kind of a coffee snob. I bring my AeroPress when I travel for work because I don't like those pods. I think they're very bad for your health.
Oh,
So I bring my own coffee in my luggage with my AeroPress.
there's
And
nothing wrong with that. I bring my own tea when I
I
travel.
sometimes do that too. Yeah. Like we
Yeah,
don't have
bad
very
tea.
good bags of tea here in Vancouver. I've found one brand. But yeah, I my family bring tea over for me from the UK because it's better tea.
yeah, so well, and tea in the afternoon because I don't drink coffee in the afternoon, so I love tea as well. So I don't have a preference, but if I had to cut one, I would probably just keep coffee because I'm not functional otherwise, sadly.
Okay,
Fair.
that's one for the coffee team. That's fine. Okay, remote or in person?
It depends, and I would say both. Right now, I'm mostly remote because we don't have an office yet. We are shopping for it, but I think 100% remote is not good because it's harder to get efficiency. It's harder to brainstorm. It's harder to build human connections. So, I personally like to go in office at least 3 days a week, and it's good to have some time outside because you accomplish more. You're not like bothered. You can have more of a tunnel vision and accomplish all those things that require a longer attention span. It's easier when people don't knock at your door or come to your desk all the time. So a mix of both, I think, is ideal.
Okay, good stuff. Early mornings or late nights?
Morning. I used
Yay.
as a teenager, I was a late night like most teenagers, but I got my kids that are now old, and I shifted my schedule. Now I love mornings.
Yeah, I'm in the early morning
Happens to
team
us all.
too. I think Sam was on the late night team, right?
I feel like if I'm getting into something, I get into a flow easier late at night still. But I am now a morning person. I've got no choice.
Yeah, yeah. With a kid, that changes a
Simple
lot of
stuff.
things. Mhm.
Okay, last question. Pick a game that you like to stream, that you like to play, and one that you're avoiding.
When it comes to games, and I will not answer straight your question, I'm sorry.
Yes,
My
that's
son is a
fine.
streamer, so I guess like any game that he streams. But when it comes to playing games, my main hobby outside of work is reading, so I read a lot. I have less time for games. I game, but what I prefer is all the original Nintendo games. I really like it. I know it's simpler, but like the latest Zelda, for me, I was like, when you feel that excitement, like when you discover a great artist,
Yeah.
I had that with Breath of the Wild. I really loved
Oh,
it.
that's so cool.
Gameplay was great, music was fantastic, the gameplay, everything. I loved it. I love games that are strong in our direction as well, like all the Naughty Dog games. I like God of War because it's simple. I like games that you can start and play and be good. When I play Call of Duty, I'm always terrible because I don't play enough. So I can see that it's a cool game and I play sometimes, but I die in 3 seconds usually, so it's not as fun for me. And yeah, I like also one of the first games that I played a lot I think it was when my son was born, is BioShock. First one I really,
Yeah.
because
Oh
I
yeah,
felt
so
it has a
cool.
very distinctive flavor. And well, anyway, there are a lot of games every year that are released. I'm not a hardcore gamer. I tend to play a couple hours and then I shift. The last game I played from beginning to end is Zelda. Like I couldn't stop. But in general, I just like to play a little bit and try the game.
Good stuff. That's the end of our questions. We're done. Thank you, Claude, so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us. You're an absolute pleasure to have on the show. Is there anything you want to plug at all before we wrap up?
Give a
Oh,
shout out too.
I would just say to everybody to keep hope. I think the market will do better, and as long as you're passionate about what you're doing, there will be a way. I know it's not easy when markets are down, but we've seen that before. It's a cycle. Just we feel the cycle more right now because the industry is so much larger. We mentioned 2007, 8, 9, which was a pretty tough time for the industry, but the industry was tiny, so we barely remember. Now the impact is much greater. So
Yeah.
hang on is I guess my last message to everybody. It'll get better.
We'll take
Perfect.
that down. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Claude.
Cheers, Claude. Thank you.
I
Done. Okay. Thank you. That was great. Thank you, Claude. It was great to have Claude on, wasn't it? Always a
It,
pleasure.
it was. He's wonderful. He's one of those people. It's just a treat to run into at any conference.
Yeah.
Get some time with him. It's always a pleasure. And I think his enthusiasm is no dimmed. He's just a supporter of the industry, a supporter of talent, and he wants
Yeah.
to see it advanced. And I think he's in a position now where I think he feels he can make a real difference, and that's lit a fire under him, I think.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I can't wait to see what they do with AMPERA and where Winking goes. It's an exciting time for those guys.
Absolutely.
We should wrap up.
Okay.
Conferences coming up. Develop. Is that your next one? It's only,
Yeah.
as you said, 3 weeks away.
No time at all. I guess by the time this comes out, it'll be less than 3 weeks. So I look
Yeah.
forward to seeing people down at the seaside.
Yes. Let us know if you're going to be there. It'd be great to see you. XDS tickets are still on sale for developers. So if you're interested in being in the biggest conference of the year for external development in lovely, gorgeous Vancouver in a brand new venue, it's honestly, if you haven't seen the venue, like it's absolutely great. Get to the XDS website, get your tickets booked. It's going to be a great year. We've got a great lineup for the stage. We've got our usual B2B. You should be there for 100%. It's great. If you have any questions on the landscape of external development that you want to ask Sam or me or any of our future guests, you can drop them in the comments or go over to our LinkedIn for XDS Spark and look for any of the posts for the Made Together podcast and just drop your questions in there. And I think that's a wrap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for joining us, everyone.
Thank you.
And if
Yeah.
you ever interested in learning more about XDS Spark, go ahead on the website.
Yeah, sign up.
And if you're ever interested in talking about what's going on in external development, give us a ping.
Yeah, we're always open to talk shop.
We are. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have
Thanks,
a great
everyone.
one. See you in a couple of weeks.